Hi, in the previous video we looked at adding new records. In this video we're going to take a look at subsetting rows and columns, excluding columns and attributes, and using substructure function. Data filtering is the most common requirement for users who want to analyze partial data of interest, rather than the whole data set. In database operations, we can use a SQL command with a where clause to subset the data. In R, we can simply use the square brackets to perform filtering. First, use head and tail to subset and examine the first 3 rows and last 3 rows from the employee's dataset. By default, the head and tail functions will return the first 6 rows and last 6 rows of a dataset. We can still specify the number of records to subset in the second input parameter of the function. This is the head. Now tail. We can also use the square bracket to subset the first 3 rows of data with a given sequence from 1 to 3. Using the square bracket, the value on the left-hand side of the comma assigns the rows to subset, and the value on the right-hand side of the comma indicates the columns to select. We can subset the first 3 records from the dataset by assigning a sequence of 1 to 3 on the left-hand side of the comma. If we don't specify anything on the right-hand side of the comma, this means that we will select all variables in our subset. Otherwise, we can specify the columns to select on the right-hand side of the comma. So, we select the second to fourth column by specifying the sequence of columns on the right-hand side of the comma. Besides subsetting a sequence of columns and rows from the dataset, we can specify certain rows and columns to subset with index vectors. Here we select columns with a given C, 3, 5 index vector. If you know the name of the column, you can also select columns with a given name vector. We select data with a given C, first name, last name, attributes name vector. So, run this code. In addition to selecting the variables that we require, we can exclude the columns that we don't need with a negative index. Thus, we can place -6 on the right-hand side of the comma to exclude the 6th column from the dataset. Here you can see the 6th column is excluded. We can also use both the not and in operators to exclude data with a certain column name. Here we exclude attributes first name and last name. Here's the output. Furthermore, we can filter data similar to SQL operation with a given condition. Here, as we need to use conditions to filter records from data, we place the criteria on the left-hand side of the comma. We have filtered male employee data with an equality condition. We can use a comparison operator to subset data. Here we extract salary data ranging between 60,000 and 70,000. Run this code. Additionally, the substr function can extract partial records. So, we retrieve employees with the first 2 letters matching GE. We can also employ the grep function along with a regular expression to subset employees with a vowel as the final letter of their name. This is the output. Besides using square brackets, we can also use the subset function to subset data. We can select first name and last name of the first 3 rows of employees' data. Here we've selected the first 3 rows. We can also set the condition to filter employee data by gender. Here we filtered only male employees. Cool, isn't it? So that's all for this video. In this video, we've learned how data filtering is done in R. Great! In the next video, we'll take a look at dropping data.